Hi, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Margaux with Margaux. How are you doing today? Today is Friday, April 24th. Hi, how was your week? Come on in. Join the fun. Now, today I decided to change my wine. You'll be happy to know I love other wine besides Margaux. I have a glass of 2009 Cheneuf du Pas. 2009 Cheneuf du Pas. Wasn't 2009 a wonderful year? It was for me because it delivered this beautiful glass of wine. So thank you for joining me for this wonderful episode. Now, does anyone have a glass of wine or something great to drink? We're going to toast real quick. I want to toast to you. And you know why I'm toasting you? Because you turned in, you tuned in, and we'll have a great time and a great discussion. If you have any questions, just pop up the questions on the screen and we'll continue our conversation. How was your week? You should feel relieved. One more week further, one more week where we don't have to think about, eventually don't have to think about coronavirus. And I think that week is coming soon. I'm positive, and I have some information to share, and we'll discuss it. But grab a glass of wine, and we're going to toast. Another wonderful episode. You know, I'm starting to lean a little bit to Cheneuf du Pas, but I don't want to change the name of my show. I can't call the show Margaux with Cheneuf. Margaux with Margaux, we're going to stick with. But God, this is absolutely delicious. And I'm going to finish this off later, and I'm going to have lasagna. Oh my God, who does not like lasagna? And a glass of red wine to join for a wonderful, fantastic dinner. So here, let's go ahead and get started. Now, first off, I just want to say I'm very sorry to hear about the number of people who've passed away due to coronavirus. I mean, when you read the information, when they explain what's going on the news, it's so absolutely devastating. Your heart goes out to everyone, especially when people lose one or two people in their own family. I read one family had 4 people who died. I read 3, I read 2. All of it's just completely devastating. And my heart and prayer go out to every soul and everyone who's affected, and also the people who have coronavirus. Our heart goes out to you. And we're sending you our prayers and love. Everybody that's coming on board, we're sending you positive energy, loving energy, healing energy. So everyone who's affected coronavirus can get stronger and better. It's a will to live, and we're here behind you. Okay. Now, a few days ago, I mentioned Israeli professor shows that the coronavirus has a fixed pattern. And I read the article. I don't know if you guys were tuned into that. Let's see if I can find a little bit about it. I'm gonna repost it on Margaux with Margaux on Twitter and Facebook and other places, so you can definitely go back and read it. It says Professor Yitzhak Ben Israel of Tel Aviv University. Now, this article comes from the Town Hall newspaper, written by the journalist's name is Marina Medvin, so you can look it up, who serves as Research and Development Advisory Board for Teva Pharmaceutical Industries, plotted the rates of new coronavirus infections: U.S., U.K., Sweden, Italy, Israel, Switzerland, France, Germany. The numbers told are a shocking story, irrespective of whether the story, okay, I kind of go, it shows a fixed pattern. Let me get to the part where it talks about the fixed pattern. It says, graph shows that all countries experience seemingly identical coronavirus infection patterns, with the number of infected peaking in the 6th week and rapidly subsiding by the 8th week. So this is really good news. Now, the second great information was yesterday the president mentioned, or he had a gentleman that spoke, that coronavirus can be killed in the sunlight or UV rays. This is great news. So, because obviously I'm in California, so the summer is coming, so that's great news. And if it peaks, that's great news. So, I would think June. What do you guys think? July, we'll start to see more and more of the country open up. And I'm hoping by that time we're getting closer and closer to a vaccination, and also the antibodies. They're finding out more and more people have had coronavirus. So you may have already had it and have an antibody and don't even know. So I'm hoping it gets to the point where tests are available for everyone. If you feel you've had it, that you can get tested and give blood, and they're showing that's showing a great deal of promise as well, which is really, really encouraging. So I really appreciate the president and his task force coming out every single day to reassure the public and give them an update on what's going on. What I think is pretty funny about the whole thing, whatever the president says on that day, it's ridiculed the next day, which I find kind of interesting. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, especially when he pushes back on the reporters and everything. I think is hysterical, but it's informative. So I recommend videotaping it, seeing it on your own, maybe spend 20 minutes just to get an idea of what's happening and what's going on. There's always great information there. Anyway, I'll leave it there on coronavirus. I'm in California. I went to Costco. Everybody's following the rules. Have you noticed that? Everybody's out in the stores following the rules. And if you get close to someone, they say, excuse me, and they walk further away. I remember like about a month ago, I would go out. Nobody was wearing a mask. I was totally freaking out. So I feel good that everybody's trying to do their part. And we're all in this together. And I honestly think this is so little to ask when you think about the number of people who have died. If you do go out, to wear a mask. So I don't mind following those rules and supporting what we're trying to do together collectively. I also support people speaking out. If you are in a position where you have 2 part-time jobs, there are people who have 2 part-time jobs, and both jobs they cannot get any unemployment. Nothing. They don't qualify for unemployment. Perhaps it's a gig job. Perhaps they worked at a restaurant and that restaurant wasn't able to get the loan and the owner couldn't afford it. So we have to look at the general public. A lot of people just can't afford not to work. The bills coming in, and who likes to call all the creditors and, oh my God, help me. How long can you do this for? So I really applaud everybody going out. It's the freedom of speech. It's the freedom to say, I want more, I want better, and go out and talk. I think it's fantastic. It beats sitting at home and being angry. Go out and use that energy to do something right. What this whole coronavirus point out, which I think is really tragic, is how big the gap is between the very rich and the poor. And the middle class isn't where it needs to be. And that's something that's really obvious. And I think a lot of times people want to legislate. How do you make it better? It comes down to people. It comes down to a CEO or a company or someone who runs a big business and they're making $40 million a year. Why don't they just take less pay? Why don't they just take $10 million a year and spread that wealth around in the company for people who really deserve it? Greed is a really big issue, and we'll continue to talk about greed, which is really, I can't take it. But you know how it is. People get a little money and power, and they're crazy. So that happens quite a bit. So let's just go ahead and get into our exciting subject, 10 steps to financial freedom during a pandemic. First off, we have to talk about money. And we have to talk about the purpose of money. Money is just a vehicle to exchange for goods and services. It isn't a personal thing. It's simply the way it is, correct? So the first point is that you need to figure out personally, why is it that you're not, if you live in the United States, I'm assuming you do. If you live in other parts of the world, that's fine. And you're not financially free. You have to ask yourself some really difficult questions. Very tough to ask. First question, you may ask yourself, why am I not wealthy? You should be, correct? Let's go with the assumption you should be financially free. And let's figure out the obstacles that's preventing you from becoming financially free. First off, you have to understand that money isn't personal. And no matter if a person has 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, a billion, it's just money. It's not a big deal. This person has, it's like playing a game, right? Monopoly or some type of game where you just have more of the pieces of the puzzle. Does it mean that you're better than anyone else? Does it mean you're just more brilliant than anyone else? You understood that finances is really a game. It's a game. And this person has more pieces, you have less pieces, but your identity and who you are is never tied to what you own, what you have materially in this world, correct? Because when you were born and you popped into the universe, beautiful baby, you weren't worried about money. You absolutely could care less. You only learn about money. And because of how you learn and what you associate with money, this could be the reason why you're not financially free. It could be. And that's why it's important to look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I not financially free? If if freedom is your namesake and these other people have a lot of great money and they're great success, why not me? Why? Why not me? You need to ask yourself why. Now, if you come up with these kind of thinking that pops in your head when you ask that question, oh, my dad was struggled with money. Oh, I'm a single mother. Oh, I'm just a student. Oh, I'm 75. Oh, it's never been easy for me. It's always the smart ones that get all the money. You have to lie, cheat, steal, and murder to get money. So all of these reasons will start to pop up. So you'll have them. Ooh, a lot of lists, you know. All of that is a lie. Yay! So first off, you got to focus on your mind. Don't believe the BS. It's something you learned. You never thought about money this way when you came into this world. In fact, you didn't even have clothes, right? But you were happy. You were in the arms of someone who loved you, and their energy was smiling, and you smiled and giggled with love and happiness. You didn't even know about money. You didn't know about car payments. You didn't know about rent. You didn't know about not paying your bills. You didn't know about problems, 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 correct? You didn't have any of it. But you didn't care, did you? You were smiling in your mom's arms. So you got to figure out, why am I not financially free? Very difficult question to ask. Perhaps you don't feel like you're good enough. Well, that's another lie. Somebody told you this when you were like, I don't know, 12 or something in school and said you weren't pretty enough. Oh my God, another one. Not pretty enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not in the right school. I'm not the right this. I'm not the right that. All of that information, I hate to tell you, is actually a lie. And if you accept that lie, and if you accept that as being your reality, well, guess what happens? Your mind is so powerful, so absolutely beautiful and powerful, you will manifest exactly what you think. Okay, so if you think that you're not smart enough, correct? So you take this business course, and deep down inside, your subconscious mind believes this lie that you're not good enough. So you're in class and you don't answer a few of the questions really as good as the other students, or you failed the first 5 exams, and you go, aha, I never was good enough. Well, you just manifested exactly what you thought, and now you quit. So there you go. So first off, examine why you're not financially free. Is it a hang up? Is it a negative attitude? First step. Second step is attitude. Um, the way money flows is energy, correct? So if your positive energy is being sent out through your business associations, through who you are, that energy reflects back to you. It's like a boomerang effect. Has that ever happened to you? That it's like an absolute, whatever energy you decide to be, whoever you are inside will come back to you in a positive light. So it's important to trust the universe, have faith, and it will be reflected back to you. I'll just tell you a cute story. This is nothing that big of a deal, but I thought it was kind of cute. So one day I decided, when I go to the grocery store, if someone doesn't have the change in front of me, like they're looking in their pocket and it's like $20.55, I had the 55 cents. I just wanted to do something kind of cool. It was like a random thing. I know it's a little funny that I would do this, but I did. And I would have the change and I was ready. So if anybody says, They're looking. I said, ma'am, I got it. And I give that 55 cents. One day, months later, I was in the store, and guess what? I didn't have enough change. The person behind me said, hey, ma'am, I'll get it for you, and whipped out the change. Everything you want is always reflected back to you, and you just have to be conscious of it. There's two minds. There's a subconscious mind where the seeds are that you've planted at a young age, whatever that belief system is. And then there's your conscious mind that will prove whatever the subconscious mind believes. Okay? Suppose you're a person who went to prison and you committed a terrible crime. Suppose it was, I don't know, robbery. Let's just say crazy robbery. And you went to prison for, I don't know, 5 years or something. And you were in prison, and everybody else in prison, it was just a terrible environment, maybe violent, horrible. So you get out of, you finally out of that environment, and you accept that the only way that you can make a living is you have to go back to stealing again. Well, guess what? That's all you will see. You have to make a decision. You have to make a choice. So the second step, write it down, and write down specifically what you want. Write down specifically. Now keep in mind, this is not something that happens, hey, Margaux, I wrote down my goal. I'm going to be, I don't know, a trillionaire by next week. Possibly can happen, but seeds take time. So just like you go into your yard and you're planting your seeds and your harvest, you're planting your seeds, you don't go back out every day and keep checking the seeds to see how far they're growing. You can letting it sit and simmer in the back of your mind, because you are now about to create what it is that you want. It's working day and night. And you feed that seed by looking at your goal every day, all day long. Every day, all day long. Now, this may be an interesting experience. Suppose you say to yourself, I will just want to be beautiful. So you keep saying it to yourself. You're writing the goal. You look in the mirror. You say, God, I look the same. And you keep writing the goal. I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful. Then all of a sudden, you will look in the mirror and you'll say, oh my God, I'm absolutely beautiful. And because your soul is beautiful, and because your insides is beautiful, and because you're confident and you know who you are, guess what? Good things will start to happen for you. That's how it is. I've seen it happen all the time. You appreciate the beautiful nose or your eye, whatever the case may be. Love yourself. Appreciate the physical body that God has given you, whether it's short, whether it's little, whether it's this, where it's that. Love you. And appreciate your mind, appreciate your body. So those are a couple of things that are really important. So plant your seeds. 2, write it down. 3, plant your seeds. And you got to keep watering those seeds. You just don't write down the goal and no seeds. So, and I recommend writing big goals. Don't just say, oh, I want to make $20 more an hour. Put down, I want to make 10 grand a month. Because 10 grand a month is a good enough income, correct? 10 grand, you could have some fun, you could pay your bills, you could have some extra money for recreation. So 10 grand is kind of a good figure. So if you are at 10 grand, I don't know, say 50 grand or $1 million a month. There are people who actually do make $1 million a month, by the way, or 50 million a year. So whatever it is, sky's the limit, because this is your life. Now you're going to say to yourself, Margaux, aren't you just fantasizing? Aren't you just not true? Listen, I've seen it happen. I've seen people who start out with barely nothing and accumulate wealth. So it can be done. Now, is it hard? Yes. Is it rare? Yes. And it's rare and it's hard because it's going to take commitment. Any type of goal is going to take commitment. It may take you 5 years before you get your 10 grand a month. 5 years of looking at that goal, waking up in the morning, looking at the goal, waking up in the morning. What you're doing is you're programming your mind to be financially free, and 10 grand is the acceptable amount that you want to manifest in your life. Now, I'm not saying I think you should go higher, honestly, but 10 grand, people feel good about 10 grand. So 10 grand, what you're doing is every time you see your goal, you do know we live in several dimensions in space and time. You're pulling in what is invisible into the physical realm. You're actually pulling it into this place. You're using the power of your thoughts. You're using the power of your subconscious mind to bring that reality here. You have to have that will. That will. Remember, have you guys ever heard of, obviously you guys know about Kobe Bryant. Look at some of Kobe Bryant's comments and quotes where he talks about the will and the strength and never give up. Look at what he wrote. Listen to his spirit, what he wrote. It will tell you what it took to win, because he talks about it, but you have to pay attention. You have to hear the whisper. You have to understand it was a lot of work and a lot of dedication. A couple of days ago, I did a talk on 10 steps of something else. I failed to mention hard work. So the second step is, now that you planted your seeds, now you got to get hard at work. And you're going to ask yourself, well, what am I going to work on? You're going to work on yourself and your thoughts, and you can continue to figure out what's holding you back. Once you get that block, that switch turn in your psyche, I'm telling you, opportunities will come to you in avalanches of abundance. There is a wealth circulating around you, waiting for you to tap in. And all the great creators, all the people who've started their companies, all the people who are successful are all tapping into it. It's an energy source. It is there for all of us, all of our human. We're here to experience life, and God works his way through us because God wants to experience life through us. We are his children. We are his conduit. We are his expression in this physical realm. Okay? You're human. I'm human. I have the same resources you do. You just have to figure out a way to tap into it. Now, another idea would be to write a journal. Spend time writing a journal, getting the negative stuff out of you. So that's 3. 4, continue to understand and build upon why there's a hesitation. Also, another note, don't tell anybody. If you're telling your coworkers, suppose you have a job, and you say, hey, Julie, guess what? I'm going to be making 10 grand. It's okay to do so, but do you really want people to go, oh, really? Oh, really? You really going to, you don't want that doubt. You don't want the negativity around you in your space. Keep it to yourself. I recommend even doing something further. Write a check, for 10 grand to yourself. Also visualize it. Visualize the car you have. Visualize the house you have. Visualize the yacht you have. Visualize. You want to create. Visualize what it is that you want. Because what will happen, your mind will open up to the source and ideas will start to flow in. You'll understand how marketing your product. You'll understand what PR. All you need to do is find a need and fill it. Find a need and fill it. And all you need is a million people to buy your service, or 50,000 people to buy your service, or whatever the case may be. And there you go. There's your 10 grand. 5. So continue. I state this. Who taught you the negative thoughts? I continue to write these notes. Continue to find out where those thoughts come from and conquer those thoughts. Number 6 was open your mind and spirit and prepare for the answers of your dream. They're going to be random coincidences, things that I'm telling you, the craziest things. Things have happened to me I can't even imagine. Years ago, I was looking for a car. Okay, I wanted a specific car. And I had the color, I had the car. You will not believe it. So one of my friends randomly calls me and says, hey, Margaux, we have that car for you, a car for you for sale. Okay. They didn't know that I had already visualized the car that I was looking for. I just had in my mind. I said, okay, sure. I said, what kind of car was it? It was exact car, color, interior that I was actually looking for at a discount, out of the blue. So I know it works. It does all the time. Daily prayer and meditation. Now, you planted your seeds, but you have to stay positive. You cannot be in a fearful state. When you wake up in the morning, you meditate and pray. You have to focus on gratitude. The universe is a tricky thing. God works in tricky ways. You have to value and appreciate what you have. The only way that it comes to you is through attraction. The law of attraction, I'm sure you've heard of that term. It will come to you. You pray on it every single day, and you're relentless. Also, you have to make sure that whatever your business is, whatever you plan on doing, will help and serve others. It can't be exploitive, it can't be negative, because karma is real. I know people are going to say, is karma real? It may look like it because, you read in the paper someone just stole a lot of money or living the life. Karma. It always comes. It always does. Whether it's in this lifetime or the next lifetime, I believe in all this stuff, by the way. It will come back. So stay positive, stay uplifting and positively. Also, be careful to keep your mind in a positive state at all times. Now, if you're in an environment, perhaps your kids are just depressing. Suppose your husband's just so negative. You're going to have to learn the art of ignoring people very nicely. It's a real skill to do. You're going to have people that call you and spread their problems on you and their stories. You're going to have to learn how to gracefully get off the phone. I've learned this over the years. I hope anyone that I've done this for doesn't listen to this presentation. Suppose you're calling me and you're like, oh, Karen, oh. And it's my friend Karen. She calls. I go, Karen, what's going on? Oh, you won't believe it. Oh, you won't believe it. This coronavirus is so depressing. It's so depressing. It's so depressing. It's so. Oh, really? Is there anything you do to help? And they'll let them talk. Good, like a few minutes. And then, they're usually still negative. And then they'll continue to be negative. So I give it about like another minute or so. I say, Karen, excuse me. I have another call that has come in. Click. And I click off. Now, I know it's a little dramatic. You feel guilty because you didn't help your friend. For the most part, you can't help someone unless their mind is open to be helped. What is interesting about our lives and the way God is construed, we all have free will. We make choices. God gives us clues, He gives us suggestions, but ultimately we're free. We have the free will. Do we do what's good or do we not do what's good? So this person, you could say, Karen, call me tomorrow. And what you're doing is you're letting this person know that you have boundaries, indirectly or directly. Because some people like to drain your energy, and they're negative. That's all they are. They're looking for someone to be negative. Or if it's a real concern, by you telling her, I'll speak to you another day or tomorrow, give her a chance to maybe evaluate what she's going through. Now, obviously, this depends on who it is, the circumstance. If it's something tragic, obviously a death in someone's family, I'm not saying just blow the person off and, get off the phone. But at some point, you have to draw the line on how long you want to stay on the phone. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, half hour, whatever the choice is. You decide how you want to use your time. The two things you have the control over is your time. You have control over your time. And money, it can come and go in your life, but time you can't get back. So your time is of value. Also keep in mind, everything happens for a reason. Now, if anything I'm telling you helps your life and it does some good, what I would like for you to do is do something good for someone else. Share some of the principles that I've learned, that I've shared with you. Reach out to them, share these principles, and we can continue to grow. Now, eventually what I'm doing is I want you to work on your mind. Because if I'm telling you about business, because I love to talk about business, but your mind has to be nurtured in a good, solid place, correct? So when information comes in your psyche, in your mind is open, you can accept this information. So the key point is to work on your mind. You cannot harbor any negativity. A lot of negativity is out there. A couple of things that people use that sort of start to corrupt the mind at a young age is prejudice. Oh, I don't like skinny people. Oh, I don't like fat people. Oh, the Chinese people are this way. Oh, I hate black people. Oh, I hate Mexican drivers. I don't care what it is. When your mind starts to develop and state those types of comments, it starts to pollute your mind, and it only gets in the way. Because whatever you're pushing out, that negativity onto another group, you're actually boomeranging it back to yourself. It's a self-hatred type of a mechanism. So if there's hate coming out of your mouth, there's self-hate there, and you're not going to develop it. you may get something in the short run. You may be able to corrupt someone else's mind. You may be able to come in and destroy them and hurt them and be exploitive and negative and hurt someone else. You may in the short run win, but you will not win in the long run. So human beings are given one choice. Do they follow their better angels and stand up and do what's right? Or do they follow their a darker energy? Which is the biggest one I see today is corruption, greed. Greed is a big one. Oh my God. People can be crazy. It's never enough. I know people that are billionaires that are actually complaining right now that they don't have more money. I mean, it's really bad. And when you look at the number of people who are really suffering out there, just barely getting through the day, and I hear someone say that, I just think they're just out of their mind. And there's some of them out there. They thought being rich was going to answer all their questions. They exploited. They did everything they can, and they're still miserable. And it'll never be enough. And those people are very corruptive and destructive. And I can name some famous names that you guys all know, but it's not needed because I don't want to put the negative energy out there myself. But you guys know what I'm talking about. People who only think of themselves. Now, keep in mind the way that you are and the reasons why you're not financially free is because you believed a lot of lies. You believe lies that you were told as a child, and you believe lies that you were told in college. You believe lies that were told in society. You just accepted it, correct? They told you, oh, you should make 50 grand a year and that should be the American dream. It's a good dream, don't get me wrong, but you can have more. You can have more. You can achieve more. You can have more. Don't ever believe you can't. It's all up to you. If you only want to make 50 grand a month, fine. Or 10 grand a month, that's fine. If you want to make 50 grand a month, whatever the number that you want, you can have. You just either have to work harder, more strategic, but it all can happen and it's very possible. Okay, so now I have these books that I'll send you. They're free ebooks. Now, a lot of times people give you an ebook. It's either their ebook or they're trying to sell you something. I don't want anything. Only thing that you owe me is to be successful and you use some of the information. And tell me how you're doing. Okay, so here are the books. There's 7 of them. A Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, Power of Positive Thinking, Power of the Subconscious Mind, Magic of Thinking Big, Road Less Traveled. Now, Road Less Traveled was a great book written by M. Scott Peck, and I just want to state why I thought the book was good. One of the first lines, it was written by a psychiatrist. One of the first lines in the book is, once you accept life is difficult, it ceases to be difficult. Hello? You grow up, right? Once you understand that life isn't fair, it is what it is, and you accept it. Now you're ready to create whatever life you want. It is what it is. Okay, but that's a really good book, and it related spirituality to science, which I thought was really good, because typically human beings have been wanting to separate the two areas, spirituality, religion, and science. And in the book, he was bold enough to connect both of those subjects together. And the main reason why is that human beings have a hard time looking at their own evil behavior. Because you know as well as I do, there are apparently people who are in positions of power that need to be in a loony bin. You know what I'm saying? They may not be homeless, they may be rich in power, but they're absolutely insane. But in the book, it talks about the relationship between those two and how evil people are everywhere. They can be teachers, politicians, people who have no sense of spirit about them. And you probably may know someone like this. They're just empty vessels, and they're negative and dark, or whatever the case may be. Stay away from those people, but he talks about it in his book. Now, how he related spirituality to psychiatry was, there were a lot of moments during a session when he was talking to a patient that he didn't know what to do with this patient. He didn't know what to say, what to do to help this patient move along on their journey of mental health. And he would get these messages out of random. A book would appear, a bird flew by the window. I mean, it's a really, really good book. And it talks about synchronicity, coincidences, because in life there's no coincidence. Even you talking to me is not even a coincidence, believe it or not. Your mind is open enough to at least sit here and take in what I'm saying. So everything in life happens for a reason. But anyway, it's a really good book. And the last one that is really special to me, I read probably a few years ago. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Now, this book was written in the 1930s by Napoleon Hill, and what it was, he was writing this book called Think and Grow Rich. And in the book, Think and Grow Rich, while he was writing the book, because Think and Grow Rich is a book that Napoleon, what he did was he went out and studied the most successful people during that time to figure out their secret. There were people who were all self-made. How did they become self-made and successful? Andrew Carnegie said, Napoleon, go out and study these people. So while Napoleon was writing this book in the 1930s, he was visited by this negative energy. He calls it the devil. He doesn't really say he's, saw the devil in the flesh or whatever the case may be, but it was this sort of dark energy. And the dark energy did not want him to write that book. He said, if you write this book, it will open the minds of human beings and they would know the truth, that they had their own power and that they can create their own wealth. They weren't depending on a system. They weren't depending on opportunity. The mind was powerful, and Napoleon Hill reminds you of it when you read this book. And in the book, the devil stated the reason he's able to get people under his power is through the systems that are in place. Your parents could be a negative influence, could be schools, it could be churches. And once those beliefs shape you as a child, then they can have control. Another way was through alcohol and drugs. When the mind is altered, that energy can go dark. And that's why people are addicted. They become another self, another being when they become addicted. And that is another way the devil has a way of getting you. So there's all of these different sins, all of these different negative things are out there that can trap you and keep you beholden. And the secret was to win is to focus the mind, because your mind is like a laser beam. And when you focus the mind on something, it becomes quite powerful. The energy of the universe starts to flow through you and around you, and nothing can stop you. Nothing. Read Kobe Bryant's quotes. There's a lot of good people out there that you guys can spend some information about. I'll continue to talk about this all week in different ways, but that's another one. Another great quote. Now, two of my friends are self-made billionaires. One of them, we ended up talking, we're having dinner, we're talking about success and books, and I said, hey, have you ever read Napoleon Hill's book? The book, Think and Grow Rich. He said, oh my God, I read that when I was a kid. And when I read that book, I knew that I would be really successful. I knew that my goal was to be the richest person in the world. He's not the richest person in the world, but I have to tell you, if he lives long enough, he may get there. I don't know. We'll see. But he read the book as a kid, and he just knew that he could be successful. So that's another person. Years later, I met another person who's a self-made billionaire. I don't have that many billion. It sounds like I do, but I don't. But that are really close. You know people in passing and through friends. But it's not like we're just like all hanging out all day drinking wine, especially this kind, huh? But he stated as well that he read the book. In fact, he required everyone that worked at his company to read the book because he knew it helped them become successful, and he became quite successful. Yeah. So 2 billionaires who read the book, that's pretty good odds. So it's a really good book. If you're not and you want more success and wealth, you can email me at GraysonKWhite@gmail.com. Absolutely free, no obligation. You're emailing my assistant, so say hi, Grayson, and he'll send you the ebook at no cost. You don't even have to tune in again, really. Only thing I ask of you is that once you become greatly successful, because I believe in you, you can do it. I want you to help someone else. I want you to spread this energy, this love, this excitement, this truism, so we can create a better place in the world. Because if you're more successful and this guy's more successful and talented and pushing there, it makes life a wonderful journey. It makes life wonderful. If you start a company, you hire 30 people. Look at 30 people's lives that you've changed. So I just want everybody to help each other, especially during this pandemic, which has been, oh my God, not easy. But it has caused me to want to do this show, and it's the reason I'm speaking to you now. I certainly don't need to do this. I could be drinking my wine and lasagna, I think. But I want to just spread something good and positive and loving. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. Now, side note, I did see this movie Extraction on Netflix in the middle of the morning. I know I'm a little bit into movies. It stars Chris Hemsworth. You have to see it. If you have Netflix, you can see it. It's really good. If you love stop action thriller, I'm creating a new list of all my top thrillers, and I'll be talking about that very soon. So tune in. I'll be here on Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, same channel, same place, same channel. And love you guys, and have a good day and even a better tomorrow. God bless and take care. Oh, I didn't shut it off. Hi.